Welcome back, everybody. 23 months left, almost 22 months left until we leave this country. But I've been getting questions lately about like why I originally left. Of course, why I came back. But why did I originally leave America and become an expat, an immigrant, a passport bro? A lot of these words have like kind of stereotypes built in with them. And really, I don't care. I think we all have our own journey. We all have our own way of getting there. But I think I wanted to talk about kind of the 5 reasons why I left America and became like a passport bro or an expat. I mean, the first one, the biggest one, obviously, and it's no secret, is cost of living. The cost of living in America has become absolutely out of control. It's been going that way for a while, and it's going to keep going that way. You know, I kept seeing all these videos of people living in other countries and, seeing how affordable it was, how the quality of life they had was something that I wanted, right? I've never been someone who wanted a big mansion or, supercars or anything like that. I'm someone I've liked simplicity, but I don't want to grind for a simple life. And what I quickly found out is that you can have one hell of a life for just like a fraction of what it costs in America. Whether that's in the Mediterranean, in Eastern Europe, in South America, in Southeast Asia, and you don't have to be of retirement age. You can save up your money and go and just go for a period of time. But what I found is that I could live, it was essentially a carefree life for a poverty wage in America. I mean, you look at the rents in America and it almost doesn't make sense to own a house here if you're just going to stay here, if that's what you're going to get, because you're going to be paying just as much as you would to rent. It might actually be more, with insurance, with tax, with interest rates. And then, of course, there's food. I mean, forget about fast food. Not only will it kill you, but it's become almost prohibitively expensive. In other countries, what it would take to feed you for one day in America, say if you spend $50, $80 to feed you and your partner here in America, that can feed you for a week. That can feed you for a week in a lot of places. And a lot of places like where the living is pretty first world, honestly. Like I always use Greece as an example because, by God, I'll be living back there 23 more months. 23 more months and I'll be living there, I swear. But I mean, we never worried about the cost of food. And we'd order out all the time because ordering out is the same. There's nothing prohibitive about it, right? There's nothing that's not going to break the bank, really. And I'm not saying you need like thousands and thousands of dollars. If you have like 1,500 euros, 2,000 euros, you're doing super, super good. You rent a place out there, you're talking about what, 4 or 5. If you're by yourself, you can find a place for like 400 euros a month. You want something a little better, a little bigger, then you're leaning more towards like 6, maybe 7. But I mean, your daily life expenses are so low that really doesn't matter at all. I mean, even if you're going out, you don't have to count pennies. You don't have to pinch pennies. You don't have to, worry as much. You still have to have a budget, of course, because the world's expensive. But you can enjoy yourself. You don't have to constantly worry about, do I have enough to pay my bills? Not in the same way that you do in America. If I wanted to go out, if I wanted to go on dates, it's not going to cost me hundreds of dollars to take a girl out. It's one of the things that stop people from dating so much is just how expensive it is. And in general, it's just, in America at least, and in a lot of the West, dating has become quite predatory and it's very costly for men. But that's not something you have to worry about in these places. Like I said, you don't need much money, 1,500, 2,000, and, you're balling pretty much. You can take a girl out and you can have a great time. You can go for drinks, you can go for dancing, you can get a big dinner. You can do all these things and spend maybe 30, 40, 50 euros for really nothing. Now, if you're trying to go really burn one, if you're really trying to go out and hammer down some drinks, then yeah, it's going to cost a bit more. But, have a budget and you're fine. The number 2 reason I really left America was the work culture. Work culture in America isn't just oppressive, I think it's toxic. It invades pretty much every part of your life because you have to work so much and it's so exhausting. And the older you get, even you're not working less hours these days, you have to work more to compensate for the rise of cost of living. So people are just kind of unhappy everywhere. You're surrounded by unhappy people because everyone's trying to grind. I don't think the term rat race has ever really been more appropriate than it is now. And, that dream of escaping the rat race, that's something that drives a lot of people to become expats, to become passport bros, to leave and see if they can do it, And yes, it is possible. And you don't have to, suffer. You don't have to feel like you have to do something that just you truly don't want to do. You can chase a passion. You can find a way to make money. Like I said, because you don't need much, you can find ways to make money. Whether that's becoming a digital nomad, gain a skill that you can monetize, gain a skill that can pay you to live in some of these places. I mean, there's hustle culture all over the world, just like there is in America. America isn't uniquely special when it comes to hardship. It's just the value of our dollar goes further. So if you can get paid, I mean, that's the dream in a lot of these countries. They want to get paid in, by European standards. They want to get paid by US standards because it's a huge difference. In the Philippines, you make like $600-700 a month at a call center, and that's great money there. But I really got tired of spinning my tires because the fact is, what are you working for? In America, I feel like because we don't really have a chance to own what we were able to own, just 1 or 2 generations ago, we feel like we're working for someone else, not ourselves. We feel like there's really no reason for us to put in these hours. It's just, like I said, it feels oppressive. And it feels oppressive because it is oppressive. But you can escape that oppression by going somewhere else, by finding a place that you can live within your means and live well. Because, that's what true happiness is going to be. It's different for every person. But if you're like me and you just like simple things, I found that there's multiple countries where I can live a great life, live the way that I wanted to live, and not have to suffer the same work culture, not have to suffer, being in the rat race, constantly grinding, constantly having to worry about money. Am I going to be able to, pay the bills next month? Am I going to get a raise that matches inflation? No, of course not. Is it going to be harder next year when I know my rent goes up and the cost of utilities go up but my pay doesn't go up? How much time do I want to have in the day for me? Because in our culture in America, in a lot of the world, honestly, because like I said, this is a global thing, that's how you feel. You feel like there's no way out. And it erodes on you and it beats on you. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. So, I got up and left. The number 3 thing is, there's no sense of belonging. I love this country. I was raised here. All my childhood was here. All my formative years were here. My identity is wrapped around, being an American. But I don't feel like I belong anywhere in this country. And I've had the opportunity to travel all over this country. And where I've realized that there really doesn't feel like there's much place for anyone anymore. I didn't have the opportunity to grow up in one place. My parents like to go everywhere. They moved around a lot, and that was great for them. And at the time, I think that's fun too, but always being the new kid at school, always never having roots really. You always had to kind of survive socially. But I feel like kind of being at a place, while that may have been normal for me, I feel like everyone kind of feels like they're out of place now. There's no real culture that like distinguishes us as Americans anymore. We're just kind of global citizens. We're just kind of like assets of our government that are used for profit. So even though I served my country, and even though like I do have a deep, deep love for my country, for my people, I don't feel like I belonged here anymore. So it was quite easy for me to leave. And what I found out that is, you can make friends anywhere in the world. You can make bonds. You can meet women. You can fall in love with places that are outside of your culture, and it not just be something that's different, something that exotic. Like some of the friends that I've met in other countries, I miss them so much because they felt like more honest friendships than what I have here in the States. I feel like in a lot of other countries, people are more honest with each other. They'll tell you straight up what it is, but at the same time, not try to tear you down. I feel like in America, it's like people love to tear each other down. People love to pull a hero down and rip them apart. Not calling myself a hero. That's what we do in our country. We love that. It's our media. America's become kind of a circus. We're all just consumers in it. We have our ticket. We're We're playing the games, we're getting the food, we're getting the drinks, we're riding the rides, but we don't actually belong there. We have to go home at some point, but I feel like there's no home for us to go to. At least that's how I felt. But the weird thing is, the longer I spent outside of my country in some of these places, the more at home I felt there. Not because of the country itself, but because of the people. Because like social bonds, friendship, it means something more. It's more like true family. And even people that I didn't know for that long, they became some of the best friends that I've ever had. And I consider them family. And they do anything for me, like I was family. It's a strange thing. It's a strange thing to have people just have your back like that and actually mean it, and not just have to be some kind of opportunity for them. And I guess the fourth thing is, like, I did have a desire to take my life back. Like I said, I feel like I didn't have control living here. I felt like I was just being kind of used financially by the government. I didn't get along with my family. I didn't have too many friends left anymore. Just because people get older and they just separate and kind of get into their own little family units. And because of all the stresses of either working, the culture, just kind of like the loneliness that exists in America, I feel like it was hurting my health. Not just my physical health, but my mental health. I felt sick. I felt like I couldn't get in shape anymore. Gaining weight, even if I was dieting, the food that I was eating made me feel terrible. And just constant stress. And I got tired of it, And just like kind of the cost of living, when I found out real quick that, you could live a better life for a fraction of the price. But I realized that once you leave America, once you leave the West, your body begins to just adapt. Your body is just like, thank you for not putting poison into me anymore. Thank you for giving me healthy food. Thank you for giving me sunlight. Thank you for walking, because we don't walk in America. We drive everywhere. Since I've been back in America, we just don't drive. I have to go to the gym just to get my steps in. Most people here live sedentary lives because this country is just designed for you to live a sedentary life. I'm used to walking like between 5 and 10 miles a day, just walking through the city, doing my thing. Now, God, I probably get in, if I don't go to the gym, I probably get in like 2,000 steps. And that's ridiculous. So living in another country and realizing that, my body had the potential, my mind had the potential to get back to a healthy state, So that's what I did. And it wasn't even through trying, really. It just came naturally because I was in that environment. My body was being nourished. It was getting food. It was getting, healthy social interaction. It was getting exercise. I felt like I was beginning to feel like I belonged. I was experiencing new things. I was getting out there and living a life that I've always wanted to live, living a life that I know people dream of living, in these places that, I've only seen in movies or read about books or like seen in video games. It was me out there living. And that really takes me to the last thing, right? That last reason I left. And I think we all have it. It's just a call to adventure. The world is huge. And the more time you spend outside of your bubble, you realize how small you are. I feel like I can travel my entire life and I'll only see a fraction of this earth. I know there's people that have been to every country, but have you actually been to every country? Have you actually experienced the people, the culture, the food, the music, the nightlife, the breakfasts, the lunches, the weddings, the celebrations? It's possible for me to go to these places, and it's not just for me. Everyone can do that. It's not just an expat, a passport bro, an immigrant thing. If I lived the rest of my life and I didn't have this, if I didn't leave, I would regret it. And I'm happy that I did it while I was younger. I'm happy that I did it, while I still have the ability to do these things, to go out there, to sweat, to climb up big hills, to go up mountains, to party, to exercise, to sweat, to get into competition with local people. I love that. I thrive on that. And if you're out there and you want to do it too, guess what? You can. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be super fit. You know, you don't have to be super smart. You don't have to be super connected. You can just go. You can go and have a great life. You can go and have your own adventure. Because you only have so much time on this earth. And because you only have so much time in this earth, and you want to grow old. You want to look at your grandkids and say, no, you know, it just wasn't the right time for me. Or do you want to give them a tale? Do you want to be able to tell them of the adventure that you went on? Right? The thing about the difference between, what I think the difference between an expat and immigrant is really, is that an expat eventually comes back. Immigrants don't. And I think that, you know, whether you call it a digital nomad, a passport bro, an expat, you know, at some point I feel like these people come back. And they come back with a story. So you can hate on them for all the stereotypes that have been launched at them, you know, for all the assumptions that you have. But it's just people out there having their own adventure, right? Living their life in a way that most of you wish that you could, and most of you can, if that's what you want to do. That's why I tell people, don't be afraid of what people say. You know, don't worry about people's accusations, people questioning your intentions to go somewhere else, people telling you that you're running from your proms, people telling you that, you know, you want to go take advantage of, you know, poorer cultures. Go have your adventure. You know, it's better to deal with naysayers and ignore them than it is to have regret later on in life. I'm not going to have regret. It's getting dark. Look at this. The regrets that I have are few and far between, especially when it comes to travels. And if it's something that you want to do, please just do it. Because those are the 5 reasons that I left. I know a lot of the people who watch these have pretty much already moved abroad or they're about to. So if you have any stories to inspire people, or if you have any questions because you're about to make the move to go somewhere else, you know, please just put them in the comments, because there's tons of people in there who have advice for you. I might have a couple things too, and maybe I can make a video of it. But definitely get out there and live your life and live it the way that you want, because you don't have to go through this. Right? You don't have to pay an arm and a leg just to grind out a living, trapped in a rat race in a place where you don't belong. When you know that you have the desire and the will to take your life back, to take your health back, to take your happiness back, and while doing that, have the greatest adventure of your life. So that's the 5 reasons that I left, and I want to know what your reason is. This is Large Man Abroad. Thanks for stopping by.